This episode of DDO Players News is brought to you by the Easy Roller Dice Company. Check out EasyRollerDice.com for all of your dice needs. Metal dice, regular dice, specialty dice, any dice in between. You can find them at Easy Roller Dice. Don't forget about their full line of dice bags and roller dice trays as well. EasyRollerDice.com for all of your game-playing dice needs. Once again, thank you to Easy Roller Dice for sponsoring this episode of DDO Players News.
Hey there, citizens of Stormreach. Are you tired of your sentient gem constantly humiliating your gameplay in an English accent?
Yeah!
Why not let those left-handed remarks come from a different source that's closer to home but just as passive-aggressive?
Yeah!
That's right. We went down south and captured the soul of a Texas native to create the sentient gem of the cowboy. Your cowboy gem will deliver even the most innocuous sentences like,
I've learned how to play with a new toy.
Or,
Well, aren't you just a real genius? God bless your little heart.
in a way that makes you think, I don't think this gem really likes me.
I don't.
You'll bond with your gem over the failures of your party members.
If it weren't for stupid people, what would we laugh at?
When you're at the shrine.
I'm fitting to get ready to get up and do something.
Or when you spot the enemy.
Okay, this could be dangerous. You go first.
Your cowboy gem can even tell when you're mounted.
Let's ride.
So call, or better yet, send several strongly worded letters to Standing Stone Games and demand your sentient gem of the cowboy today.
Yeehaw! Ride 'em, cowboy!
The sentient gem of the cowboy doesn't really exist, so, don't do any of those things, okay? Bye!
Good day, everyone. This is Pilot Mules, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and on the tabletop. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Dracula.
Hey now, everybody, how's it going?
Hello there, Drac. How are things going over in Barovia?
Same old.
Same old stuff. But you're surviving. Is the weather at least improving?
It is, yes, it is. It's fairly nice out, other than that stupid sun thing, but, there's that.
Oh, that sun thing. That big ball of fire.
That's right, but the weather has been nice. And it's going to rain the next couple of days, so you know how we love our rain here in Barovia. So.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well then, let's head over and see what's in the DDO game news this week. And we are going to be starting with update 46, patch number 1, which looks like little odds and ends in here.
Yeah, this was a little teeny patch. This is kind of old news since we didn't have a show last week. This was released on Wednesday, April the 29th. But if you weren't aware what was in this little short patch, like I said, it didn't take very long to patch. Very, very small patch. Some class work. The Alchemist, Inflict, and Harm SLAs are once again able to hit living enemies. So that's handy. Did you notice? You probably don't use Inflict and Harm. I can't see you using either one of those two spells. Those are not Pine Leaf spells, I don't think.
Those are definitely not Pine Leaf spells.
That's what I figured. The enhancement trees, the favorite soul, Beacon of Hope and Beacon of Grace enhancements are now properly affecting undead enemies. I had to pause there to read that because I wanted to say Bacon of Hope. But I didn't. I stopped and corrected myself, but I was like, oh, wait, I want a favorite soul now. I want a Bacon of Hope. That would be awesome. In the Epic Destiny, the Knight of the Chalice, Holy Combatant, now grants the correct amount of 2-hit damage. So lots of little fixes to get you what you're supposed to have. Also, this is a handy one as well. Unbound Sentient Jewels of 1,000 Sentient XP are once again able to be consumed. Always good to get that sweet, sweet Sentient XP. The Greater Elder Knowledge Set bonus now functions again and is as followed. This item set will grant you Acid, Fire, Electric, and Cold spells, a 6% chance to critical hit, and these spells have an additional 10% spell critical damage. Monster Manual got some work. Monsters from the Lost Gatekeepers Adventure Pack have been added to their various existing Monster Manual entries. That's always good. They fixed an issue where if a character recalled from the Cerulean Hills, the character would recall to the harbor. Even if they...
That was annoying.
Yeah, it was very annoying. Even if the Cerulean Hills was entered through the Great Keeper's Grove. Yeah, we noticed that like the first time we played. And then last week. My weeks are getting so confused because my schedule has been so weird here lately. Whenever we played last, I was like, oh, hey, they fixed it. We're back in the Gatekeeper's Grove now. So that was good to see. And there's just some other little miscellaneous things. A bunch of typos were fixed. You can click over on the link in the show notes to read the entire patch notes for what they are. But once again, small little tiny patch, just a few little nice fixes here and there.
Then let's have a look at a little item that I completely ignored, and that was Hardcore Season 2, and it looks like they finished up and wrapped up.
Yes, it ended today as we're recording this, actually. We are, once again, my schedule was not record-friendly this past couple weeks, so we're recording this on Wednesday the 13th. The Hardcore League did wrap up today. Could have been posted over on the forum. The Hardcore Season 2 wrap-up fact and after party. Thank you for being a part of our second season of the Hardcore League. The after party will be available for players to get their character inventories sorted out, items moved out of their shared bank, and other actions necessary before we do a full character database wipe of the Hardcore server. The after party will be available through May the 31st. And he also said, keep in mind, similar to the first season, here's what you need to know. The following items will not, I repeat, will not transfer when you transfer your characters off of the Hardcore League server to regular worlds. Your friends list, the /ignore list, guild name level, airship, amenities, membership ranks, and other guild-related benefits. You will appear in the new world guild lists. Items in your true reincarnation cache, items items bid on are posted in the auction house. Any in-game mail, shared account, bank, and crafting storage items, astral shard balances, creature companion stable. You cannot be the leader of a guild and transfer your character from one world to the other. If necessary, please promote a successor, our other guild member to be the leader, or disband your guild prior to undergoing a character transfer from one live game world to another. Once again, this is all the same as last time. And once again, character transfers from the Hardcore server to another server will be accessed through the game launcher. So that's it. Hardcore League Season 2 all wrapped up. Season 3 coming soon-ish.
Soonish.
We don't know when, but soon. I don't know how soon. I would think they would wait a little while, but we'll see. Season 2 started way sooner than I thought it was going to, so it'll be interesting to see when Season 3 starts. So Pine can properly ignore it, too.
Yes, I could completely ignore that one, too. Well, let's see, when did Season 2 start?
Like 3 months ago?
3 months ago?
I think it runs 3 months. I can't even remember, but yeah, that seems
that was been pretty early then, and so it wouldn't have been, no idea. I guess they just thought it was a nice idea to try again then.
I don't know, but they did say there will be a Season 3. I know they did say that, so for everybody looking forward to that, there you go.
I have a feeling, though, that they're going to wait until after Feywild before that.
One would assume so. Yeah. I would think so.
Yeah, I can't imagine having a major launch of an expansion in the middle of a Hardcore League.
Yeah, I would think they would wait till after that, but I don't know. We might be surprised.
Hey, that's right. Hey, let's try. Hey, I'm on the Hardcore League. Let's try one of these newfangled quests from the new expansion.
Right, exactly.
Bug in expansion that causes characters to die too easily.
Oops.
You don't want to run new content in a hardcore league. At least I don't think so. But
That
then I don't
probably
run
would not be
hardcore
advised.
all that
Well,
much.
that's true too, I guess. So depends how suicidal you are, I guess.
Yeah. Let's then. Let's then head into our big thing for the day, where we are going to have a little review of Update 46 of the Lost Gatekeepers.
That's right, the new quest pack that is out. We have now both ran all of the quest. So now is a good time to talk about it and review it because we've ran it all. I think Piney's done it more than I. I've only ran through it once.
Let's see. I think I've only got through it twice. Let's see that I can remember.
But that is subject to change soon because there is something I really, really want on my Bastani Knife Fighter. So Rent and Tay, if you can hear my voice, this will be in our future a lot on Wayfinder. Just saying.
You want something to tide you over until you find Slice and Dice.
Yeah. Oh, the stagger's nice, but we're jumping ahead of ourselves.
Oh, we're jumping ahead of ourselves. All right, then we have here a total of 5 quests, where the first 4 quests we try to trace the steps of each of the 4 lost gatekeepers, and in the 5th one is where we finally find the gatekeepers and free them. And of course, the storytelling bit is going to be a little bit on the spoilerish side. So you've got a warning there. So probably skip ahead maybe 10, 15 or so
Probably.
if you don't want to hear any of that. I don't know if you consider going over the treasure in here to be spoilerish or not. I don't know how people feel about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So we'll just put a big blanket spoiler warning. If you have not ran these quests yet and you want to go into them blindly and not spoilers, as Pine Leaf said, skip ahead 15, 20-ish minutes.
Mm-hmm. Then let's then head on to the first quest, called The Home of Memory, where we have a gatekeeper who's a half-orc. Now, this is the thing about these quests is that even while gatekeepers have traditionally been orcs, which is so strange to think of, considering in how in Lotro, of course, having someone who's there to keep the universe properly balanced, the last thing you would think of would be an orc to be fulfilling that role in Lotro, but we do have those in here. So anyway, in the Home of Memory, the gatekeeper that's missing here is a half-orc, and this half-orc is trying to become a... Oh, that's right. I think he feels inadequate because he's only half an orc or something like that, I think is the reason, because he's not a full orc. So he doesn't, despite the fact that the other 3 gatekeepers that we look for aren't even partially orc at all.
Right, exactly.
So he's trying to go into there, and he's asked, and what to have this, someone says, I can make you a better druid or I could make you better. All you have to do is find to me is the Home of Memory, the Home of Lost Memories or something like that. So in other words, you're supposed to find the Home of Memory, and eventually you go into a tomb, and you go into this tomb which is being protected by the orcs, by the local orcs. So this is their sacred spot, and since he's only half orc, he apparently doesn't fully understand what's sacred to his orcish side. So he creates all sorts of trouble there, and eventually takes one of their skulls, which is the remnant of one of their great tribe leaders from the past. So, and what each of the gatekeepers are being asked to do is to do something that is to bring an item for someone, and they're promised something in return for doing it. And of course, and every single time they are pretty much are lied to, and well, they're in some way told the truth. A lie wrapped in truth, I think, is the best way to describe it. In other words, it's not in any way for their benefit, though it's worded in such a way that they think it is. So that's the home of memory, and we have to. Are we going to go through the treasure with piece by piece, or are we going to go through the entire story first and then go back to the treasure? Yes, track.
Sorry, I had myself muted. It's however which way you think would be best. We could do it after we talk about the quest. I guess
All right.
that
Yeah.
would
Okay.
probably make sense.
Let's talk about the quest. All right. So that's the first of the one. So that's just the usual thing of going into I guess a cave full of tombs with guardians in it, such as scorpions and the like.
And this was my least favorite out of all of them. I think I liked the aesthetics and the look of the quest, but just it was kind of boring, actually. So yeah, this is my least favorite. I think of
right.
all these.
It was definitely the tamest of them.
Yeah.
Then the second is the heart of the problem. And there, the druid in question is a warforged. Yes, we are going from a group that's usually orcs, a half-orc who thinks he's not quite fit for the gatekeepers because he's not a full orc, to the next one, a warforged. Now, how's that?
Exactly. It's about as different as you can get.
Not exactly what you call a prime candidate for a druid. And he's, of course, trying to find a way to become a better druid because he thinks that he might have trouble casting druid spells because he's got that adamantine body and all that. And, of course, because usually wearing metal armor keeps you from casting druid spells. Someday, maybe I should try playing a Warforged Druid just to see what happens. It's probably not optimal play, let's say.
I would say that would be a tad bit on the challenging side.
That would be a tad bit on the challenging side, right. So on the heart of the problem there, we have in this case, we're going into a place that's hot because we have all these fire entities that you're going to have to fight into there. And in fact, in the end, what he is looking for is something old yet new, or something like that, something old and something new. So something that's both old and new. And in fact, what he's looking for is the heart of a magma beast, a magma brute or something like that. So of this magma monster, he's trying to go there, so it's going there, kill it, and take its heart out. And of course, looking in there, I think he's told that they will make him a better druid. I think it was to get rid of his armor is what they promised him, which, as you could think of, just stripping off armor from a warforged is probably not the most comfortable thing in the world.
Yeah, that would be a bit awkward, I think.
Yeah, that would be a little bit awkward. So you went into that type of mess in there, and you come into there, and so he does that, which in the end he concludes that he just violated nature by doing this. And like, how do you become a better druid? By being a bad druid, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yes, that's the way things work on the errors in there. So you're fighting fire creatures on that. So I suggest that you bring in a little fire protection when you go into that quest. The third one is Rosemary's Ballad. And in there we have Lily, who is a local farm girl, and she decided that she wasn't very happy at home, and because her sister went off to Sharn to be a great singer and all that stuff. And now, well, she's stuck at the farm with all this dreariness that they have over there, and she eventually decides that she wants to become a druid and become a gatekeeper. And her parents weren't exactly happy about that, especially since her sister Rosemary Rose, has this wonderful parrot who's able to sing and talk and all of that. And of course, Rosemary's pet bird is a raven. And of course, you could just imagine her parents is like, "Get that stupid crow out of here!" It's like, I'm sure Lily at some point said, "Actually, it's a raven, not a crow." It's like, just technicalities. But the idea there is that they tricked her saying that she could become the greatest singer in all the world, and all she had to do was to bring back the something like clarity, crystal clarity, or something like this. And the idea there was to bring back the song from her sister, who is visiting back at the farm at the time. So she goes back in there, and she really goes crazy. This is when where you're doing the early parts all in the house, and then at the end you're in the garden to the household, and she kills her sister and her father. Her mother's blind. So in other words, she does all these nasty things to her family. And that was a thing that happened in there. And of course, she takes the songbook where the song is. Now, in order for us to solve it, we have to eventually take the parrot because that's where because we had to get an example of it also. What we have to do is take the parrot, since that's the only place where the song exists now. That's the third one. Then the fourth one is the Sacred Bounty. The Sacred Bounty, and there we have. Oh yes, of course. Now I remember it. Yes, that's the person who's becoming a gatekeeper because his parents wanted him to become a druid. Because apparently his father was a powerful druid, but he wants to be an artificer. So even though he's a gatekeeper, he is actually, at heart, he's an artificer, and you'll notice in there that he does everything like an artificer does. In fact, he even has the pet iron dog instead of a wolf companion. So he's totally an artificer in there. So we have to go below one of the temples that's always been in Cerulean Hills. So in the back in there's an entrance, and you go under the temple in there, and you try to retrace his steps. And there's some puzzles in there, but he's already solved them for you, so you don't have to be solving the puzzles. So Drac is saying, "Oh, I don't have to go through those puzzles now."
Yes, that was my favorite part of the quest.
Yeah. So he goes around there, and of course he killed all the guardians in there, so he replaced them with artificer type guard with constructs. So even though when he went through there, he was fighting druid type protectors and stuff like that, nature elementals, probably elementals and nature stuff and the like, you have to go and fight constructs, because that's what he put in to replace him, because he says those will make better guardians. So we eventually trace him way down there where we find a sacred apple that's way at the bottom, and that's what we do, go down there. So those are the 4 stories, and each of them having their thing, and each of them being slightly quirky and novice gatekeepers, which is why they're vulnerable, because they're the ones who were attacked in this way in order to be told to do these terrible things, is because they were naive, young, and vulnerable. And of course, they all have these quirky personality traits. The half-orc who felt inadequate because he wasn't a full orc on the whole thing. You've got the artificer who thinks he can't become a druid. You've got the girl who envies her sister because she can't sing. And then, of course, you have the final one, who is the person who's forced to be a druid who wishes to be an artificer instead. And now that we managed to trace them and get these components, we have to figure out where were they all taken to, because none of them could tell us where they were. And we eventually figure out that if we had these all suddenly disappear, then we should look at the one place that had just recently suddenly appeared. Thus, we are sent into that cottage that dropped into the middle of the harbor for some reason whatsoever, which is all right, there's a cottage in the middle of the harbor now.
Yeah, it's a little odd.
It's a little odd. So they reasoned that's where we need to go. So we go into there, and once we're in there, we find that there are 3 hags in there who need the ingredients in order to try to perform some horrible ritual, because, hags. And they have placed the 4 victims into a soul bag. Now, of course, they notice you in there, and they put you into the soul bag, but they put you into the soul bag in corporeal form. They shrink you and put you into the soul bag in corporeal form, rather than the others who they put to sleep and put their souls inside of it. Because you're in there corporally, you have slightly different rules than they do. And what you have to do is you have to work each of the 4 through their various issues until they are now finally, at least to some degree, at peace. And once they're at peace, then you go tear open the soul bag, get yourself released, and everybody released in there, and you now fight the hags and get rid of them, and everybody's happy except the hags. And of course, the hags, the reactions in getting killed makes it sound like that, yeah, we're just going back to our home plane. See you again later when this little banishment is gone. And we're thinking of the possibility perhaps their home plane is the Feywild or something like that. I suppose.
because they kind of throw little hints about the Feywild and stuff all throughout that quest. So yeah, I'm assuming we're going to meet them back again in the Feywild, and this is kind of how they're kind of like bridge the two together. Is my opinion.
Right. So that is our current hypothesis. We will find that out when they release the expansion, which could be a while in there. And that 5th quest was called Housekeeping. Yes, because we had the little house and that they were keeping, I guess. So that's it for the storyline. So now let's head into the treasures. And I think Drek has a nice little list here of what his favorite treasures are going to be.
I do, and I notice a couple that I want. But yeah, if you go over in the show notes for this episode, under the Update 46 review header, you're going to see the quest, and then you'll see all of the items that drop out of said quest. But in the Home of Memory, there's a couple trinkets that drop out of there. It's the Bottle of Shadows and the Legendary Bottle of Shadows. Most of these do have a legendary version. Bottle of Smoke and Legendary Bottle of Smoke. A ring drops out of there as well. It's called the Ring of Changes. And of course, the Legendary Ring of Changes. These are not bad. The trinkets, the Bottle of Shadows, these are all, of course, as the quest pack is, it's min level 3 to 29. So the legendary versions, of course, are going to be min 29. The regular version is going to be min 30. This is going to give you a profane, well-rounded +1 or +2. Good absorption +11 +30. Law absorption +30 in lesser displacement. And a green augment slot on the Bottle of Shadows. Bottle of Smoke gives you Dex +2, which I like. Quality Dexterity +5. Of course, that's the legendary version. Smokescreen, you're surrounded by whiffs of concealing smoke, giving opponents a 20% chance to miss you. Also 30% speed and +17 to deception, and a blue augment slot. The Ring of Changes is going to give you intelligence +2, or the quality intelligence +5 on the legendary version, +5 spell resistant, +47 spell resistant, transmutation focus +9, quality resistance +4, and a blue augment slot.
I wonder, let's see, I think I better look up what the alchemist, I think the alchemist is intelligence based. If that's the case, that ring might be nice for my alchemist.
I think it is. Yeah, that's a nice little ring. For a lot of things, but definitely if you're int based. Then we jump to the Heart of the Problem. That's got a trinket called the Battle Worn Medal. It is Charisma +2, R +5. Heroism, Greater Heroism. Action Boost Enhancement, Quality Double Strike +5, and a blue augment slot. The quality double strike +5 is amazing. That kind of caught my eye. Some boots, the Clockwork Boots, intelligence +2, quality intelligence +5, shatter +3, R +23, repair lore at 31, R +31%, reconstruction at +214, and a blue augment slot. So not exciting for me, but I suppose if you're an artificer, you might want to look at that. Then there is a interesting named necklace called the String of Ears. It gives you exceptional prudent skill bonus +2 or +11, dodge +2 or +21, quality wisdom +5, pairing +10, and a green augment slot. I'm interested in that +2 dodge and that +21 dodge.
Now,
I might want the legendary version of this to go on my Basadi Knife Fighter because dodge.
yeah, all right. So it's good on pairing and dot. I'm trying to see what is the optimal class because the wisdom.
Yeah. Let's see.
So that will be the. So the wisdom bonus that you have in here. I'm trying to think. All right, who needs pairing and dodge plus wisdom? Is it for clerics or is it for?
I would say it'd be good on a cleric, ranger, even maybe.
Oh, ranger.
I could see ranger.
Oh yeah, actually, okay, ranger. That's the one I did.
It'd be good on ranger. The wisdom, not so much for the rogue, but of course, dodge and pairing wouldn't be bad. But bards as well could use this, especially if you have a bartificer. So.
Well, yes, but bards are more intelligence, though.
Well, it depends. Like I said, it depends how you.
And charisma, actually, bards are more
build
charisma.
It. Yeah. So, not a bad little thing. I love the name though. String of Ears. That's interesting.
I would have thought that would help you with your listen skills.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. You would think, but no. It makes you more smart, apparently. Rosemary's Ballad. There's a belt that drops out of there. It's called the Belt of Sure Strikes. Magical Sheltering +5 are +54. Seeker +2. Insightful Seeker +10. Yay for Seeker. Quality Combat Mastery at +5. Quality Accuracy +8. And a green augment slot. It's interesting all these have different colored augment slots as well, too. At least I thought so. Because usually in the past, most of the things have had just one color augment slot for all the drops in the quest pack or whatever. But this time they went with different ones, which is interesting. There is a trinket called the bronze figurine. It's insight +31 or +187. That's a lot of insight. Magic Sheltering +5 or +54. Pairing +10. Insightful Insight at +86 in the green augment slot. I guess if you want insight, there you go. There's a shield in there as well called the Kinetic Spear. Damage dice, 1d4, 1d4 on both the legendary and regular as well. Crit profile is 19 to 20 at ×2. No shield bonus, +0. It's considering a spell casting implement, so it's +39 or +29. You get a +1 to +15 orb bonus. Kinetic lore is +7% or 31%. Impulse at 47, at 214 for the legendary version. Energy siphon as well. Force absorption +20% and a purple augment slot. And then there is also the Willbreaker. A lot of stuff drops out of this quest, actually. Yeah. The Willbreaker is a short sword. Its crit profile is 19 to 20 ×2. Damage dice is 1d6. 1d6 +2 on the legendary version. It's got a Shatter Mantle Translucent Withering. Energy and blue spikes can be seen raging within the weapon. When a Shatter Mantle weapon strikes a foe that has spell resistance, the value of that spell resistance is reduced by 3/6 for 9 seconds. A foe can only have its SR reduced by one Shatter Mantle effect at a time. Also has Bewildering +1 or +5. Wisdom damage on a hit keen versus Bewildering 5 wisdom damage on a critical hit. And a red augment slot on that. Mm-hmm. And finally, there is a ring that drops out of there. It's called the Deep Promise onyx ring. False light +8 or +81. Negative healing amplification +8. Insightful negative healing amplification at +43. Quality negative healing amplification +22. Quality intelligence +5. And a blue augment slot.
If I was thinking that one of these quests would have a nice bard item, this is the quest that I thought would have had one, but none of these look particularly useful for a bard.
No, not really. I mean, maybe the short sword, maybe, I guess. It depends, but
Well, it might depend on what type of bard you are.
That is very true. Then we have the Sacred Bounty. That has a trinket in it. It's the Conduit of the Arcane. It is Wizardry +41, our +440. Efficient Metamagic, maximize +1, our +2. Efficient Metamagic, Empower 2. Efficient Metamagic, Intensify 2. And a green augment slot. So spellcasters, take note of that little trinket. Also another trinket called the Corroded Iron Figurine. Stunning +3, our 23. Protection 2, our 17. Insightful Stunning +11. Insightful Sheltering +27. And a blue augment slot. So there is also some bracers called the Ironclad Armband. Protection 2, our 17. Healing Amp 8, our 85. Parrying 10. Devotion 214. And a green augment slot. Couple weapons drop out of there. A Sickle of Vile Attunement that has a 1d6 /5, 1d6 +2. Damage dice. Critical profile is 20 × 2. And it's a spellcasting implement, a Void Lore, and a Transmutation focus +9, and a Reg Augment slot. And then the dagger that I need. I need this Pine Leaf.
You need it.
My Bastani knife fighter is just, I need this dagger. It's called the Dagger of the Liturgist. It is, of course, these have the regular and then the legendary. I need the legendary one. It is a Sovereign Vorpal, which replaces the Manslayer. It's got let's try that again. Relentless Fury, that's hard to say. Enhanced Blood Rage and Blood Rage. You might be thinking, what the heck is all that? I don't understand anything he just said. The Relentless Fury is when this item is equipped, any killing blow that you strike against enemies may drive you into a furious rage, providing a +5 enhancement damage bonus to your melee, ranged, or unarmed attacks for 30 seconds. Slaying weaker opponents has a reduced chance of producing this effect. And then the Enhanced Blood Rage is this weapon is enhanced by blood. Your blood.
Your blood.
Each time you take damage or you kill an enemy, there is a small chance that you will fall into a unholy blood rage, greatly increasing your melee power, constitution, and damage. However, this rage will leave you more vulnerable to physical attacks, slightly reducing your armor class. And then the regular blood rage is anytime you are hit, there is a chance that you will fall into a blood rage, and that gives you a +8 bonus to strength and constitution, but it will cause a period of lethargy when your lust for blood becomes sated. And then the Sovereign Vorpal is a passive +0.5 damage dice. On a Vorpal hit, your target, if your target has fewer than 3,000 hit points, they are instantly slain. If your target is above 3,000 hit points, they take 300 damage. So I need that, Pine Leaf. I need that.
It certainly doesn't sound like a Pine Leaf weapon.
Well, no, it does not. So, yes, I see this quest in my future a lot.
Then what about housekeeping?
And then in housekeeping, we have a trinket called the Bone Figurine. Strength +2, quality strength +5, evil absorption +11 or +30, double strike +23, insightful seeker +10, kind of like that as well from my Bastani Night Fighter. The Book of Spirits has Ghostly, Diversion plus 33, True Seeing, Protection from Evil plus 10, and a green augment slot. There are some gloves, Stone Forged Gauntlets, Acid Lore, which is weird, but okay, plus 7 or plus 31, Corrosion at plus 47 or plus 214, Insightful Corrosion at plus 107, Conjuration Focus at plus 9, and the blue augment slot. Then there is the Silver Blade of the Flame. That is a long sword. That has a crit profile of 19 to 20 times 2, enhancement bonus of either plus 3 or plus 15. It's a favored weapon, and this item has Divine Entombment, and it may be wielded as if it were a favored weapon, regardless of your deity. And then it also has a coruscating 1d6 to 9d6 Evil Outsider Bane, and 9d10 Silver Alchemical Damage, and a red augment slot. And finally, there is a dart in there called the Spectre Striker. Yes, we have a dart.
Dart.
Crit profile is 20 times 2. Enhancement is plus 3 or plus 15. Improved Deception. This weapon is hard to focus upon and thus provides a plus 5 enhancement bonus to bluff checks. Bluff checks. In addition, improved deception weapons have a chance to envelop the target in darkness, making them vulnerable to sneak attacks for a short period of time. This chance is greater if the weapon with normal deception. Ghost Touch and incorporeal characters. 50% chance to avoid damage does not apply to attacks with Ghost Touch weapons. And it also has Bleeding, 98 Piercing, and 96. A red augment slot on that as well. So it's kind of cool for a dart, I guess. I mean,
okay.
I don't know actually who uses darts, but so
well,
there you go.
That's a good question on that. I know before I figured out the best way to use I think my alchemist occasionally uses them. Perhaps if I'm low on spell points, switch to a dart in order to have something to throw, because alchemists are all about throwing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
In order to conserve points or something like that. So that could be a alternate weapon for an alchemist when you're running low on spell points, perhaps.
Sure.
I try to think of something.
No, I'm with you. It makes sense. So overall, what do we think of this quest pack?
It's a really nice quest pack. It has a interesting set of quests. It's always nice when you can have something interesting at the low levels, because sort of tired of adds a little bit more to the Cerulean Hills than there was before. So what I did is I did the regular Cerulean Hills quest, went in, picked up the Gatekeepers quest, and then did the Gatekeepers quests in there. So that adds a little bit more to the Cerulean Hills, because Cerulean Hills used to have just 2 quests in there, which was a bland area. So it's nice to see that it has a little bit more love now in there.
Yeah, that was a very vastly underused area.
Right. And so it's something now at the right level in order to add into there. It's a nice follow-up to Keep on the Borderlands.
I agree.
It's a good, because it looks like they've decided, I think they're trying to get a Gatekeepers storyline get going, and now you do run into Gatekeepers later on, such as when you get into the Temple of Elemental Evil.
Yeah, basically,
right.
They're kind of using the Gatekeepers as if anything is not in Eberron,
right,
quote unquote Eberron, or Evening Star, which they Forgotten Realms. I drew a blank there for a second.
Right.
If it's in another part of D&D lore, they're kind of using the Gatekeepers to get around that, because they can shift you to other places, unnamed other places.
To unnamed other places.
Because, I mean, we all know where some of this stuff is, and of course we're not actually in that place, but we're in like another place. So yeah.
Well, it could be because we may be in that other place, seeing how, I mean, when you go to the Temple of Elemental Evil, maybe you were transported into Greyhawk, because they're Gatekeepers. They can send you to just about any plane.
Well, okay, sure.
It's an
Of
excuse
course, we
to
don't
be able to
say
get
we're in Greyhawk, but
True.
but yeah. So I kind of like how they're using the gatekeepers, and I hope they kind of keep going with that story. Like we said previously, I think they are going to tie them in to the Feywild, and they're really going to tie in more. I think. I mean, that's just the feeling I got on some of these quests, especially the final one.
Especially the final one.
Myself, I like all these quests other than the Home of Memory. That's the only one that was just kind of like, I mean, it was all right. It's not a bad quest per se. It wasn't as good as the other quest, if that makes sense. I guess that's the only way I can say that. And I'm not sure. I was gonna ask Cordovan so I could actually name them by name on the podcast who did most of the quest writing for these. But I love this story, and I love the quest writing. They, especially in the two quests that stand out for me are Rosemary's Ballad and Housekeeping. There are some amazing lines and jokes and just parts of the story that are amazing. So kudos to whoever wrote these quests. And like I said, I'm gonna check with Cordovan to find out exactly who did these quests, because they did an awesome job in my opinion, and they need recognition for writing these quests, because I enjoyed the quest text and the DM dialogue and the character dialogue immensely in really all of these quests, but the Rosemary's Ballad and Housekeeping really stuck out as two of the best ones that I think in this quest pack.
Yes, a very, very nice one. Though Housekeeping, yeah, very nice writing on that, but it can get hectic in there during the battles, that's for sure.
Yeah, it can. It's some of the mechanics in that quest are a little weird, and like you said, it can get a little hectic, but I liked them all actually. Other than the first one, like I said, and it's I want to quantify that by saying it's not a bad quest. It's just not as good as all the other quests in this pack.
It was sort of an intro quest.
Yeah, they kind of eased you in, and it's like, because I'll be honest, about halfway through that quest, I was like, if these are all like this, this is not going to be fun. But thankfully, all the rest of them were great, other than that one. And I said that one's just an okay quest, in my opinion. It's not great. It's not horrible. I mean, it's not like I would never run it again. I mean, I'll run it. It's just kind of the one that kind of sticks out in my mind that is not as great out of the rest of them.
Then, yeah, I think that sort of sums it up. Were there any other changes that came on along with this that you recall?
Not that I can recall, no. I mean,
I could, right, because I think
I'd have to go back and look at the patch notes. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of work that was done with this. That they kind of patched in at this, but nothing that I can think of off the top of my head right now.
Well, I think the background engineers were trying to also at the same time in this update trying to get ways of fighting the lag.
Yeah, this was this was right about the time when all the serious lag work was going on and happening.
Yeah.
So overall, I think great job.
Yeah, very good set in there. As I said, it's nice to have some really nice quests down at the lower levels, and I don't have to worry about. So Waterworks, which is of course what you'd be doing around level 3 normally. Yep. Some of those quests in the Waterworks can get really long, so it's nice to have some quests that are a little bit closer to bite size in there.
Yep, I agree.
Then that wraps up what we're doing for update 20, or get these numbers right. Update 46, and get my Locho updates and my DDO updates.
I was going to say, wrong game.
Wrong game, yes. Let's go and find out what's coming in from the dungeon. then, where it looks like the Dungeons and Dragons design team has a new head.
Yeah, this is shocking to at least me, and I think a lot of people. We kind of found out in late April that Mike Mearls is no longer the head of the D&D team over at Wizards. And we kind of found out about this way in a weird kind of way as well. It was on Twitter, believe it or not. A Twitter user called Oregon Pink Rose tweeted, "Hey, at Wizards_D&D, what does Ray Wagner do at Wizards? Does he have a Twitter? I read his job title from the Dragon Plus latest issue, but like, what does he actually do? Is he at Greg Tito's boss? His boss's boss? Is he the one that wakes at Chris Perkins D&D up each evening to set him loose on us? What's he do?" So Chris Perkins actually responded with, yes, Ray Wagner, and it's at Wagner R if you want to follow him on Twitter, heads up the current D&D RPG team. His official title is Flumpmeister. Both, yeah, Flumpmeister, I love that. Both at Jeremy E. Crawford, and I report to Ray, and we adore him. So be nice to him when you say hi. And that was with the hashtag WotC staff, which if you ever see that, that is an official statement by an official person that is on the WotC staff. Just for your Twitter knowledge, if you didn't know what that hashtag meant. So interesting. So then somebody else asked on Twitter, so where does that leave Mike Mearls then? And then Jeremy Crawford answered that he no longer works on the tabletop RPG team, and he hasn't since sometimes last year.
That's a bit a while ago.
So, okay then. And Mike Mearls has been the head of D&D for years and years, as long as I can remember. He has been the head of D&D. So yes, I looked at the latest issue of Dragon Plus when I remembered, hey, Dragon Plus is actually a thing still. I always forget about it. I opened up my iPad. I'm like, oh, look, there's the latest issue of Dragon Plus. And yeah, Ray does introduce himself. He says, hi, my name is Ray Wiggener. I guess I'm pronouncing that. I don't know. It's a weird last name. Anyway, and I'm the new executive producer in charge of Dungeons & Dragons studio at Wizards of the Coast. I'm just a few months on the job. I've already been impressed by the skills and passion of the designers, artists, editors, and production staff who bring you terrific D&D products. They are a uniquely talented group, and it is an honor to work alongside them. He is a veteran of the RPG industry. You might have heard his name before. He co-designed over at Mayfair Games the DC Heroes RPG and also the Torg RPG. So he has the cred, as they say in the RPG industry. It's just kind of interesting that there was no big fanfare around this as long as Mike Mearls has been there, but it's strange. He is still at WotC, though, because he has done a lot of interviews about the upcoming Lyrian Studios Baldur's Gate 3 game. So that's leading a lot of people to speculate that he is doing their video game work now. He's working on the video D&D game side of things. That's just speculation. We don't know for sure. I reached out to my reps at WotC, and I didn't hear back. I tweeted at all of them, and I didn't hear back. So we do know Mike Mearls is still there. He's just not head of D&D anymore. So take that for what you will.
Then we go from the dungeon on to the tabletop. And we'll begin with a Gen Con, where apparently they are delaying their event registration.
I don't know what Gen Con's doing at this point. Yeah, exactly. It's like, just cancel the damn thing and get it over with, Gen Con. We know you're going to. So yeah, usually about this time, we're all looking over the event list. We're adding stuff to our wish list to get all of the events that we want to get when that goes live, which the event list was already supposed to go live, and event registration was supposed to be live as well. And it is now delayed. No time frame for when it is going to actually come up. Again, I don't get it. At this point, I think everybody knows Gen Con is going to have to be canceled, right? There's no way you can hold Gen Con and make it be safe. So far, this is all they've done. Event registration delayed, no time frame for when it's going to be up. That is said, stay tuned for future announcements.
Stay tuned for future announcements. As soon as we can legally do it without...
Right. And that's my group of friends and I were talking, and I told them I'm pretty sure they are waiting for whatever loophole they have in their contract to where their insurance will kick in, so they're not going to lose a ton of money. They're probably still going to lose money, but their insurance will kick in, and that's when they're going to say, okay, there's no Gen Con this year. But as of right now, Gen Con is still on. I know I've had a couple of people ask me. I've had a couple of people tweet at me. We've had some people email in. Are we still going to cover the show? As of right now, tentatively, yes. It's going to be a different Gen Con for sure if it happens, because I don't know how I don't know. I have not made the decision not to go yet. I will put it that way. I don't feel very safe about going, though. But that's neither here nor there at this point. But yes, so as of right now, Gen Con is still on. We're still going to be there covering Gen Con. I just don't know what that's going to look like. It's going to be a much different beast this year, I think, if it does actually happen.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like a very unlikely thing to happen, because right now the biggest hope that there was that there would be a summer lull on the pandemic, but we have, I think the most recent signs are that this disease doesn't care about seasons.
Right. So far, that's what it's looking like.
Yeah, it's not like a flu that cares about seasons.
We'll see what happens. So stay tuned. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But as I said, I think everybody sees the writing on the wall, and I'm pretty sure they're just holding out for that. Okay, our insurance is going to kick in. We can do this now. Or it might even just take the city of Indianapolis saying there's no way you're going to do this. Like, I don't know if that's what it's going to take.
Well,
but like the mayor, I assume it would be the mayor that would make that decision.
It'll be either the mayor or the governor. The idea is that for many events, it is the only thing, for some insurance claims, the only thing that the insurance companies would accept as a valid excuse for canceling something is that it would be illegal to hold it. Or actually, I think it's the hotel that might have, because the hotel would go to the insurance company for the hotel. The only excuse nowadays is it's illegal to hold the event is.
I have heard that too, and as many of you probably know, I would think most people that listen to this podcast now, unless you're like a brand new listener to this podcast, that I do live in Indiana actually. So the governor gave us his steps to like reopen Indiana fully. So we have all these stages that we're going through, and each stage has like a time frame of when, okay, at this time, this can happen, and this can reopen, and this can reopen. According to the governor's stages, July 4th, Indiana will be fully opened. And that's when he did say like conventions, fairs, festivals, stuff like that can open without any limitations on the number of people that attend.
July 4.
July 4 is what Indiana's goal is Of course, all that's subject to change, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
So
of course, it's subject to change, yes.
And
when is Gen Con scheduled for?
it starts July 31st.
July 31st. So technically, it's still in the range where it could be held. Technically.
Technically, take that for what you will.
Yeah.
According to the governor, July 4th, Indiana is going to be fully reopened again. There's no restrictions on anything after July 4th. Right now we're just slowly, like right now, our restaurants are opened back up, but only at 50% capacity.
Right.
And when you're waiting for a table or whatever, you have to either wait in your car, or if you do choose to wait inside, you have to wear a mask until you're at your seat.
Oh, because you can't wear a mask at your seat for obvious
reasons.
Right.
Well, yeah. So you can't eat with the mask on, but yeah.
And I presume that the reason why they say half the number in there is so they can make sure that all parties are at least 6 feet away from each other.
Yes. And they've reconfigured, all restaurants around here have reconfigured. They've taken a bunch of tables out. So yes, all the tables are at least six feet apart. They're not setting people. Yeah, it's yeah. So we're in stage 2 right now. And there's 4 stages of this whole weird thing. But July 4th, supposedly, so we'll see. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. It's weird. The whole thing's weird.
So we'll see what happens if next week they see a sudden uptick.
Right, and that was the caveat on all these stages. If there is like a rise in cases and everything, we're going to go back to lockdown and everything, and then the thing will start all over again then. After we see, I forgot how many, it's so many weeks of no uptick in cases, we'll start back over on stage 1, and then we'll go to stage 2, and then if it comes back, we'll go back. So it's, I don't know. Take it for what you will, but as of right now, Gen Con is still on. Just, you can't register for anything.
You can't register for anything because it's hard to schedule events if people aren't confident that's going to be held.
Exactly. So there's that.
Then let's head into Frosthaven, which did the thing about starting a Kickstarter during a recession, charging a high price in there, and thinking that they might actually make a decent amount in there. How did they do?
$12,969, 162.
What did they do? Go out of their way to avoid that $13 million?
So almost 13 million. They are now the number 1 most funded board game Kickstarter.
Whee.
As of May 1st. This is when I actually got these numbers. So I'm pretty sure nothing's going to come close for a while, because the former number 1 has been the number 1 backed Kickstarter since January of 2017. So it's taken about 3 years for somebody to upkick number 1, and that was Kingdom Death Monster. They came in with $12,393,000. So yeah, almost $13 million. That's just crazy. And if you want to have some fun math, if you're some of those number people out there, as I said, the final take was $12,969,161, and that was from 83,184 backers at the average backed price of $155.91.
Whew.
So that's a lot of backers. That's a lot of money. Yeah, almost $13 million. So if you're interested in your top 10, we have Frosthaven, Kingdom Death Monster. Number 3 is Exploding Kittens. Number 4 is The Seventh Continent. Number 5 is Tainted Grail. Number 6 is Dark Souls. Number 7 is Zombicide Green Horde. Batman Gotham City is at number 8. Nemesis is at number 9. And Rising Sun rounds out the top 10. To put it in perspective, Rising Sun only made $4 million.
Only $4 million.
Yeah, only $4 million compared to the $13 million for Frosthaven. But yeah, it's just nuts. That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is most definitely a large, huge penny. Now all they have to do is try to get deliver everything by December.
And so far, they're saying everything is on schedule. So I guess we'll see.
It is possible because I had backed an expansion for Edge of Darkness last year, and they
Oh,
said,
okay.
"All right," they said, "All right, we expect to get this into your hands by September 2020." All right. So we're saying, okay, we'll see if they can make that. I'm sure that we first heard about the coronavirus thing. He says, okay, how far is this going to slip back?
Exactly.
Well, they did change the delivery date, but not in that direction because it's in my hands.
You totally cut out there.
Yeah, I'm holding it in my hands.
Oh, okay
It
then.
delivered in May.
Wow.
4
Okay.
months early. Now, I doubt that Frosthaven's going to do anything like that, but it does show that occasionally a Kickstarter actually delivers.
Yeah, I mean, they
on
they
time
can
or
be
ahead.
early. Yeah.
Yes, it occasionally happens. So we'll see how long. But Frosthaven, with all the sets that they are going to be making for that one, yeah, that's going to take some time to print up, I'm sure. Now let's head into. We're done with Frosthaven.
We are done with Frosthaven.
Then let's head into a little thing called the Golden Geek Awards. This is a set of awards on Board Game Geek that's posted annually in there. Now, when you consider that all these conventions that are being canceled, so I don't know if how they're going to do their awards this year or whatever, because you're not going to have these big award banquets for them, obviously.
One would think not.
Right. But since the Golden Geek Awards are always online, they came through in the usual way. So this is voted on by the members of the Board Game Geek community. So it's not by any high panel or anything like this. It's just anyone who's a member of Board Game Geek can put in their vote for it this year. And I think they said they got something like 100,000 votes this year or something like that. So it's a nice number in there. Oh no, actually, I'm sorry, 10,000. Sorry, yeah, there are 10,000 people voted for this year. And now, what do you think would won? What game do you think would have won the most awards this year?
Well, I mean, I know what the answer is.
Yes. Okay. You see.
And I'm not exactly sure why anybody else even bothered. Because looking at the title that won, they won 8 out of 16 total awards.
Yeah.
So they pretty much won about everything you can think of.
Well, anything that it was eligible for.
Yeah, and of course, we're talking about Wingspan.
Yes, Wingspan, which won, of course, Game of the Year, Artwork Presentation, Card Game. Their European expansion won for Expansion of the Year. Family Game, Strategy Game. How many games win both Family Game and Strategy Game?
Wow, I'd have to go back and look. I would say probably not many.
Yeah,
maybe.
because sometimes I see awards where they're putting one or the other. For example, the Spiel put them on the Kenner Spiel instead of the Spiel the Art. So in other words, they put it on the strategy side. But I think some other ones are putting them into the family category. So it actually won on both of those categories: innovative game and solo game, because it has its own. Because it has a Automate. The Automate, the Automate is included in there since it's a Stonemaier game. So congratulations to Elizabeth Hargrave and Stonemaier Games. That's quite a set of awards there. And now there are other games that, of course, because there are 8 other categories for which it wasn't eligible for.
I was gonna say, I'm sure they'll figure out how to make it eligible. It's like, how can we make Wingspan win this one?
No. Okay, the first one is 2-player game, which went to Watergate.
Okay, I've heard that's a really good 2-player game.
All right. Then the cooperative game was The Crew Quest for Planet 9.
Okay.
Print and Play went to Tiny Forming Mars.
Never even heard of that one, but okay.
I think I might have heard of one. Obviously, it's a shrunk down print and play version of Terraforming Mars, of course.
I assumed that it had something to do with Terraforming Mars. I assumed so.
Now, number 4, the thematic game of the year. I was really surprised to see this one simply because it is a new version of an existing game.
Yeah, that was kind of shocking.
And that one is Dune. You know, I was really surprised at first. Dune? I mean, I've had that game for 30 years.
Right.
Yeah, so that was Dune. Then Through the Ages, New Leaders and Wonders for Board Game App. But, hold on. Wingspan will be eligible for this award next year, so...
I was about to say, what? Wait, what? There's no Wingspan app?
The Wingspan app is late alpha, right? And in fact...
There you go.
This week, for today and the next 2 days, the demo, the prototype demo for the Wingspan app is available on Steam for the next few days.
Oh, well, there you go.
Try that out if you wish to check out what they're doing. And obviously, this is a demo, a preparation demo. I guess it's so that people could see the tutorial, A, to learn how it's played, and B, so they can get some feedback on the demo so that they will know what to do when they actually get to release. Because they're now, I think, late alpha. They're getting ready to head into beta. I think the beta test is going to be starting in a couple of days. They'll have some time in beta. And of course, after beta, there is early access. And finally, of course, the release. So we'll see how that goes on there. But it sounds like to me that there's a possibility that could go for a board game app for next year. We'll see. Party game is Wavelength. Podcast is Heavy Cardboard. And then for war game, Undaunted Normandy. And of course, you have the full list of runners up and all that for each category at the Board Game Geek. And that is it for the Golden Geek Awards for this year. So let's head into our week in gaming. Track, what were you up to?
Well, not a lot, but I did actually get some gaming in. Did play Dungeons & Dragons 5e. We did do the first episode of Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I talked about that on the last podcast that we were going to run that. Of course, this is the follow-up to the Waterdeep book. So now we're in Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I think that video is available over on Evil Beaker's YouTube. I will link it in the show notes. Pretty sure that episode is up now, so you can hear all of our crazy adventures in that. Which now we're instead of the Waterdeep dwarves plus 1 drow, it's now the Waterdeep dwarves minus 1 drow. Because I'm not a drow anymore, because I'm a female dwarf. Thanks to Bonnie Bew, your fault. But yeah, so that's going well so far. So we'll see how that goes. Did play some video games. Played Vampire. You might remember, hey, you already played Vampire. What are you doing? Well, now I'm playing it on the PC. Because remember how I said I liked it so much that I wanted it on the PC because I wanted to play it again? It just happened to go on sale a couple of weeks ago.
Ooh.
And it was right in my price range that I liked. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. So yeah, so I started it on the PC. This time I am making different choices that I made on the Xbox One just to see if it changes the gameplay at all. So we'll see how that goes. I actually just started it. I haven't played very much of it. So we shall see what goes on with that. I did more retro gaming. I talked about this last podcast as well. I finished Castlevania, and I'm halfway through Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. And then who knows what retro game I'll play next. But I'm really, really enjoying playing all the old retro games, though. It's super fun. So you'll be hearing more retro gaming talk from me in previous, or not previous podcast, but in the future podcast. Got to get my time. See, everything's timey-wimey again, finally.
You're timey-wimey.
It's all timey-wimey. That's right.
The world is
that I did play some tabletop. Started Marble Champions, the card game. I'm not very far into it. I'm just kind of trying to figure out the rules. I've watched a couple how to play videos. I think I have a handle on it. So I kind of have it like out on the table now. And I haven't really done much with it yet. But so far, I'm enjoying it. I guess I can say that. Like I said, I haven't done much with it yet. But I think it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah. The tricky thing, of course, is it's an LCG, and sometimes they could turn into, if you get seriously into those things, they could turn into money sinks.
Right. That was my only issue with it. That's why it took me so long before I decided to get it, because I'm like, yeah. Because I made that mistake with the Lord of the Rings LCG.
Ooh,
and I finally
you got into that?
For a little while.
Ah.
Very, very little while, and then I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm out. I can't do this anymore. Because it was like, it's like, okay, now you have to have this deck so you can do this, and now you have to have this, and now you have to have this, and it's just like, oh my God, stop. So yeah. So we'll see. Right now for Marble, I have just the base box, so we'll see what happens. But yeah,
We'll see, because that is, if I understand correctly, I think all of the the first printings of the expansions tend to sell out before they're available almost.
Yeah, I have heard that. I've been kind of watching different like threads on like Board Game Geek and stuff, and while watching other like YouTube videos and listening to some podcasts and stuff, and people were saying, yeah, right now that's the biggest problem with Marble, is they announce an expansion, and yeah, it's like gone before anybody can even get it. And then they're like, are you going to reprint this? And Fantasy Flight's like, we don't know. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, most likely they will, unless they...
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, because they did that for... I mean, Lord of the Rings, they were doing that for quite a long time on there. And in Arkham, they reprint those after several months. They reprint them again. They come in good. They usually maybe after the second or third printing, you start to have that they stay in stock long enough that you could actually get it if you're paying attention.
Yeah, so as I said, we'll see how that goes. I might like bounce out of this too, like I did with Lord of the Rings, because after a while it just gets to be too much.
Yeah, there's some who speculate that this game isn't as... that it's not as necessary to keep up a collection as it is in some of the others.
And just like from, as I said, from some like videos I watched on it and kind of like reading over the rule book and just playing it the little bit that I have, I'm kind of seeing that the way it's designed, I don't think it's going to be. The only thing it's going to be is I'm just going to know, oh, there's these other cool decks out there that I don't have, you know?
Part of them is going to be the cool decks, and I know that in such games they usually have settings like easy, medium, hard, super hard, stuff like this. I suspect that if you want to do the super hard one, you may need to do a little bit more deck building on that, but since I don't usually go for super hard modes anyway, it's not going to...
Yeah, I don't either, so yeah. Nope, yep, me too, so we'll see. I'll probably talk about it next week, because I'll probably have had at least one full game play. Like I said, right now I've just started, just kind of like dipping my feet in the water to see what it's like. So we'll see. So stay tuned for more talk about that. I'm sure by next podcast I will have had a full game completed. And then the other game, kind of like Marvel Champions, I've started it. It too is in progress on the table. It's called Dungeon Alliance. This is a deck-building, dungeon-crawling miniature game.
Oh, yeah. I have yet to have a chance to actually play that. Because I actually had kickstarted that one, and I still haven't played it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow, and that kickstarted like a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's, like I said, it's a deck-building, mini dungeon-crawling game, which, yes, and yes, that's exactly what I like. So sign me up for all three. Let's do this. You send 1 to 4 different teams of adventurers into the dungeon. You, at the start of the game, you draft your 4 players, so you can design your team however you want. And then you start going through the dungeon, you battle monsters, get treasure, your typical yada, yada, yada. And as you defeat the monsters and you overcome challenges in the dungeons, you get experience points. And then you can trade those experience points in for upgrade cards from your alliance decks. So that's where the deck building comes in. And you start building your deck out to where you can actually get deeper and deeper into the dungeon and do more harder stuff. So as I said, just barely started it. I've gotten through like 2 rooms of the dungeon so far, so it's fun so far, but we'll see how it goes.
See how it goes.
There's a couple things I'm confused about the rules, but I watched a video and my question was answered. So love YouTube for that. If you don't know how to play a game, just go to YouTube and type in watch it played or how to play whatever game. And I guarantee you're going to have at least 12 different choices that you can pick from. And you just find the one that you liked. And I just chose the first one that came up. And sure enough, it answered my rules question. So I'm like, oh, that's what I did wrong. Cool. So use YouTube to help you play games. It's a one wonderful thing. And that's really it. Only played DDO with you, so I'll let you talk about that. And I see you were busy as always.
Very well. We'll begin with what I did with you, where my gnome artificer and you were playing a
Tiefling Ranger.
Oh yes, Tiefling Ranger. Yes, that's it. And we played the Sacred Bounty and Housekeeping to finish up the new content that we were just reviewing earlier in the show. Then, on my I created a half-elf bard, doing my usual thing that I'm doing this year, and that is going through all the content as much as possible. No, actually taking every single class and every single race into the Borderlands, and thus I ran the entirety of the Keep of the Borderlands. I actually managed to do the first 3 of them without, treasure hunt, bugbear, bandits, and obstructing the orcs. I managed to do those 3 without summoning a hireling, without a hireling in there. But when I did obstructing the orcs, the only reason why I was able to finish that was because I got killed right next to a res shrine. Because I managed to get through the cold orcs without any issues whatsoever, but the hot orcs, I had absolutely, positively no protection against fire in any way whatsoever, and I was just being butchered by that. I think I died 3 times, as I said, right next to the res shrine. And that was the last orc that I needed in order to complete the quest, in order to hit that minimum number of orcs you had to kill in order to finish up the quest. So that was quite a thing in there. But I did finish the quest, and after that, I used a cleric after that. Because, okay, that means it's time to bring out the cleric. So I finished the rest of them. Watch Your Step, Hobgoblin's Horde, Cage Beast, Violent Delights, and Total Chaos I did with the help of a cleric. So I got through the entire Keep of the Borderlands, and as usual, and part of the rule was that I attempt to do it without a cleric before either making it through or giving up. Then for Minecraft, I ran the first 2 weeks of Mage Rage for May, the first 2 weeks of May, and I was actually doing I think I did pretty well in those 2, which is rather unusual in the second one, because the second one, a third of the items required us to get from the Nether, and usually the Nether and I don't get along all that well, so I was surprised I was able to get through the Nether pretty quickly on there. So I do wonder what would happen to that particular Mage Rage if it were attempted with Update 16. Because in Update 16, they're completely changing the Nether. So I don't think it would have been anywhere near as easy when the new Nether comes out. Then I am attempted to run the Thrifty MHC. This was the MHC for this month, the Minecraft Parkour Challenge. We were supposed to break as few blocks as possible in there, which is a rather tough thing to do. So you wind up getting desperate and doing things like diving deep underwater to see if you could find a chest in a ship. And when I tried to do that, I got trapped. And getting trapped underwater is usually not a good way to stay alive.
Not very conducive to living, that is for
Right.
sure.
So that was not a very successful run in there. So as a result of that, I decided that instead of posting the MHC this month, that I would instead work on the Are You Hardcore for May. And in the Are You Hardcore, they actually tied it into the next update for Minecraft because they're saying that they're that in order to get rid of the old nether before bringing in the new nether, that they're incinerating the old nether. Don't ask me how you incinerate the nether, seeing that's made of fire anyway, but it's an entirely different matter. And that this incineration is spilling into the overworld and things like that. So we're trying to survive in this apocalyptic, fiery world that we've been turned into, and we have to survive until the incineration process is over with and all. We'll see how that works on there. I've made it further than I thought it likely would. Actually, the first time I got killed very quickly. I got killed during the first day of the first attempt, but I'm doing a second attempt, and I seem to be working on fairly well on that. Now, for tabletop. First of all, a solo con, and the most recent solo con that I did anything with was about first responders. So I played games, of course, relating to that. So my first game that I played was Pandemic, and with Medic and Scientist. So I won on that. Then I played Twin Stars, Stop the Virus. The Twin Stars have these mini games with these little scenarios in there. One's called Stop the Virus, and just say I couldn't stop the virus. Then I thought, all right, if I could win Pandemic with the Medic and Scientist, let's try Pandemic the Cure with the Medic Scientist, which is the dice version of Pandemic. And I ran out of dice. That didn't work out very well. And then finally, as the fourth game concerning first responders was Flashpoint Fire Rescue. And so I was playing a firefighter, and I rescued 8 out of the 10. I think the requirement is that you rescue at least 7. So that one, I was hoping maybe I could go and try to get maybe one more to, but when I got out with the 8th person rescued, the building looked like it was in such a bad state that it was about to collapse. So I thought, okay, this is it. I decided not to risk going back in. Then one more tabletop app that I played. Actually, I played Pandemic and Flashpoint. Those were played using the apps because I think I might have mentioned this in an earlier show, but right now my gaming space was lost due to turning into an office, and I'm still
Yes.
yeah, and I still haven't quite finished up getting my alternate place for gaming up. And getting closer, I'm making some progress in getting it up, but not quite there yet. Hopefully that'll be up soon so I can actually play some better board games. Who knows? Maybe I could even get into maybe Gloomhaven or something like that. Speaking of Gloomhaven, I did play through the tutorial today from the app version. So no, not 100% like Gloomhaven, but the rules at least work the same, even if the scenarios aren't the same, and maybe I could go and do a few ones in there so I can get familiar with how Gloomhaven operates and all that stuff. Oh, I was trying to remember. Oh, yes, you've got to do this, this, is this, and you. Have you had a chance to do anything with Gloomhaven yet?
No, that's hopefully this weekend.
Okay, so yes, so so have you
that is my goal for the weekend, is to either do the app or start the board game. It's
all right. If you haven't had a chance to go through the tutorial of the app yet, I suggest you try that first so that you could have some idea of how the game, because the game does work in the same way.
Okay, cool. I will do that.
Yeah.
Then.
It looks like the game, and because you have the cards now, so it'll tell you what you need to know on how to play out the dungeon. Setting up the dungeon, all that stuff, well, that's probably not going to be in the
Right.
app. But it looks like that the actual implementation of the battles that you're in. They're in there, and I think the tutorial is going to give you a good job in learning how that works. So that would be my recommendation on that stuff.
That is on my to-do list then.
All right. Very well, because otherwise it's just trying to... It sounds like one of those things where a watch it played video is like, okay, am I going to remember all this?
Right, yeah.
And at least it'll give you some hands-on on it. That's at least...
It's a little complicated.
Yeah, that game can get a little complicated in its stuff. All right. Then another tabletop app I played was Sagrada, and in this case, I think it's the first time in a couple of years where I've actually played against played a game online with other people. So I was playing Sagrada online on there, and well, I think the best way of summarizing is I finished about as well as you could expect because it was my first time playing against other people in Sagrada. So I think I didn't do too badly, but I didn't win. I think I came in third place on the matter. But I don't think I did as badly as I thought, especially considering that at the beginning I was fumbling with the app, because playing the app solo is a lot easier than trying to play it with other people, because at least I found it's a lot easier to play it solo than with other people when you're trying to play on an app because of the different times online. And of course, you can't go around going into the tank and take a long time in order to do something, because you've got other people there who are waiting for you to do your move. So it's getting used to the timing and stuff like that. But that's what I did this week. If we currently have 13 supporters on Patreon, if you'd like to help support DDO players, you could go to the donations page. You could support the Players Alliance on Patreon. This money will be used for podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. And if you would rather to avoid Patreon and just give a one-time donation, you can send that to Drac at ddoplayers.com. And you can go to the donations page. You can support the Players Alliance on Patreon in doing this. We did not receive any emails this week because, since when you can send it to podcast at ddoplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at the Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, Dracula at Dracula_72, and Piney Pet Piney Needles. And you can follow Drac on Twitch at Dracula_72. The Players Alliance has 3 shows on Mondays at 7 p.m. USC. What? That's when we're supposed to meet?
Yeah, well.
We have DDO Players News ostensibly on Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And on Saturday...
Air quotes, Monday at 7 p.m.
Yes. And on Saturday, 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, much more reliably, is Local Players News. And we have XP Quest is back. You can follow at XP Quest on Twitter to find out when our show is going live. In fact, you could almost do that for DDO Players News, I guess.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm sorry about that. My schedule has just been really weird here the past month, 2 months.
3 years.
Crazy things are happening. Yeah, it's been crazy. So yeah.
Yes. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pilot Noodles reminding you to quest responsibly.
This episode of DDO Players News was brought to you by the Easy Roller Dice Company. Check out EasyRollerDice.com for all of your dice needs. Metal dice, regular dice, specialty dice, any dice in between. You can find them at Easy Roller Dice. Don't forget about their full line of dice bags and roller dice trays as well. EasyRollerDice.com for all of your game-playing dice needs. Once again, thank you to Easy Roller Dice for sponsoring this episode of DDO Players News.